Jessica and Dami, please, can you help accept people if they are joining? Yeah, so today we'll be focusing on prioritization frameworks. I know that Imole tried to do this last week, but it seemed like some people had a lot of questions, especially concerning the assessment. So we'll have the assessment presentation next week, just so that everybody fully understands what prioritization is all about. So as I said earlier, we'll be talking about prioritization models. So if you have any questions, please just hold it to the end of the class. I hope to finish in like an hour. So by 5:32, we should be done. So yes, the first thing is, as a product manager, the first thing that you need to realize is that you can never completely build a product, right? It's basically what differentiates a product from a project, because a project has a start and end date. You have like certain goals you want to achieve and all of that. But for a product, it's more flexible. Sorry, just a second, please. Sorry, can anybody hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so I was saying that products are never completely done. So basically, for products, you have like new demands every day. The first reason why a product is being built is because of a certain problem, and you're building products for people, and you need to understand that you can never fully satisfy human beings, and people always have different things that they want. So you might present this version of a product to a customer, right? And the customer says, okay, I like this one. Can you add this? Can you add that? Can you add this? Or it could be that the market is saying something, right? Meaning that you have to build on your product based on market demands, right? Or it could be that the marketing team has said that this is what you need to do, or commercial has said that you need to do this, right? Basically, as a product manager, you're intersecting with different people, commercial, design, engineering, everybody, right? So the question now is like, how do I know what to build per time? Because the truth is you can't build everything, right? And in some ways, right, you might want to do what you feel is the best according. But the thing is, like, you need to make these product decisions based on certain data criteria and ensure that you have a reason for doing certain things at certain times, because you have different stakeholders. So if customer success says this is what the customer wants, and you're about to tell the customer success person no, you need to tell the person why you are saying no and what's the reason, right? So in your product roadmap, you have like a ton of things you need to build. You need to prioritize them at different times and all of that. So you need to know that, it's your job as a product manager to prioritize what goes into the next build, or it comes up from your roadmap, right? And prioritizing is I won't say it's very difficult. It's something that can be learned, but it's very difficult because, you need to keep everybody happy, right? And that's why one of the biggest skills as a product manager is the ability to say no. You need to learn to say no, right? Because everybody wants you to do what they have in mind, right? And prioritization is very important because it kind of gives you insight into what is important so that you can focus, right? You know what the business needs at certain times, and you know that you're delivering best of that. And you also know that you can't fully build in everything, and your priorities will change, resources will change. So I can give an example. Say that we have a product called Glass 54. And at the beginning of the product, I want this product to serve undergraduates in Nigeria, meaning I have maybe me, I have, that's a product manager, I have just one designer, I have one engineer, right? At first, like, we'll only build what we know, like this is the MVP that we're taking to the market. But once the product launches, the market begins to say something else, customers begin to say something else. We need to now expand on this product. So like, how do we know what we want to do? Are we just going to keep building based on what we thought in the beginning? Or are we going to start listening to our customers and giving them what they want? And is the customer always right? Because sometimes you realize that the customer is not always right. They always have different versions for what they need. but what's the problem you're trying to solve for? So basically, these are like things that you have to put into consideration. So like your time, your resources, what does the business need, what does the customer want, right? Those are like things you have to have at the back of your mind. So in summary, like an effective product prioritization is something that like basically gathers support from all the stakeholders, right? Everybody knows that at this certain time, we have a vision for our team, right? When we know that anything that we're working on is going to deliver value. We're not just working on anything based on vibes. Like, do you understand? Everything is for a particular reason. Do you get? So if, for example, initially, if you're familiar with Google Sheets, right? You could create a Google Sheet and then you could, if you want to present, you open Google Sheet, you have Google Meet. But now if you try Google Sheets, you can open your Google Meet from Google Sheets. So now you might think that iteration is useless for certain reasons, right? But for the Google product manager that decided to build that, there's a very good reason why they did that. So for me now, that means I don't have to create a unique link, or I don't have to join. I can just control my Meet link and control my Google Sheets from just one place instead of having two different windows. So there's always like a reason for everything, and it puts everybody on track. And then if somebody says, oh, Favor, what are you guys building in your next sprint, or what are you guys doing now? You just show them your backlog. Let your backlog and your roadmap speak for you instead of you always like doing the talking, because like you've already prioritized. So now these are the questions that we have when we're trying to prioritize. The first thing is, are we delivering the highest business value? Every product is created for a reason, for you to solve a problem. And at the end of the day, it needs to bring revenue for the company. Because if the product is not bringing revenue, then there's no need, typically, right? There's a likelihood, if your company is focused on making money, right? There's a likelihood that they want to do something to push revenue. And if it's not, there's a tendency that the product might die, right? So a lot of products need to make money. Not all products though. Some products are built for charity basis. Then the second one is, it needs to deliver the highest necessary value to the customer. Whatever you are building, even if you're saying that you are changing the color of your app from red to green, it needs to deliver value to your customer. You're not building your product for yourself. You're not building your product for your engineers. You're not building it for the marketing person. You're building it for your customers. You need to have your customers at the back of your mind when you are trying to prioritize. And now these things that you're prioritizing, it needs to move towards like a greater business objective. Like it needs to tie to something. So it's not like, oh, I'm just developing. So it's like, okay, if we're shipping this product, the company has said that we want to achieve greater user experience. Whatever we're shipping, does it actually speak to this business objective? So there needs to be a goal in mind, right? You're not prioritizing on vibes, you get. And then there's also something, can we get this product to the market? Whatever feature you're adding, it needs to speak to it needs to address what the market is saying, because there's a market for every product, right? So whatever feature you are delivering needs to address the market. So I hope everybody can hear me. If you have any questions, just drop them on the chat and I will take them. So I was saying that earlier, prioritization can be difficult, right? And there are different reasons why you can say prioritization is difficult, right? Some people tend, as product managers, you need to have great, instinct, right? You need to, sometimes you say, okay, yes, I'm going to listen to my instinct. This is what my mind is telling me. But the truth is, like, it can be very deceiving to listen to your mind. Don't do that. Like, if you feel that, oh, you want to listen to your mind, you need to find data to back up what is in your mind. If not, and your mind now goes the wrong way, that's not going to be pretty for you at all. So you need to prioritize based off that. So first thing is, you don't want to, it's easy for prioritization helps things better in this, to avoid working on the easiest things. So I can have 1 million things to do, right? And they're like more difficult tasks. I would now go and pick the simple one to do because like it's very easy. It's straight to the point. But as product manager, sometimes it's the most difficult one that is going to deliver value to your customer, not like the easiest one. So like at different times, this is what prioritization just helps you put things in perspective. You're just saying, okay, at this time, I'm going to do this. In January, I'll do this. In February, I'll do this. In March, I'll do this, right? That's the first one. The second one is, instead of you focusing on all these great ideas, or I want my product to be jumping, I want it to be green, I want people to be able to send money to their email addresses, stuff like that. You need to focus on ideas that actually directly impact your business goals, right? There has to be a reason for what you're doing. You can't just like work freely. The third one is, instead of just jumping into every new ideas, like ideas are like the easiest things to come by. Like every day I wake up with a new idea. I wake up with an idea that, God, do I have to work 7 days a week? Can't I just work 4? And I'll say, okay, I'm going to build something that'll help me to do certain work and do that. Like everybody has ideas. I can be sleeping. You can wake up with a new idea. You can dream about a new idea, right? But you need to work on things that you're confident and people want. Those are like the things that you need to prioritize on. And the last one is, you need to work on things that will not. So there's some things that you might have additionally, like there might be some stuff you might have forgotten that you need to prioritize. So prioritization helps you like bring everything into perspective, so you're not working blindly as a product manager, right? And there are prioritization frameworks, and this is a good thing about frameworks, right? Frameworks are good because they help you to assess like your decision and what you're doing. They just make things better, right? Because you know that at so time I'm doing this, and this is why I'm doing this. That's like what framework does. Like if you don't take anything out of this class, know that as a product manager, it's great for you to have frameworks because they kind of guide your thinking, right? They guide everything that you're doing, right? But at the same time, you also need to be flexible. Sometimes you need to, not only focus on frameworks, but also, have like your product instinct as well. So prioritization frameworks are a set of principles that guide us on what to work on next. And they also give us a criteria for putting things into priority and ranking them according to business value. So today we'll be identifying 3, I think, is it 3? Yeah, 3. Sorry, I think, yeah, that's 4 prioritization frameworks. So the first one is the impact versus effort matrix. The second one is the RICE model. The third one is the Moscow model. The fourth one is the Kano model. I know that a lot of people struggle with the RICE model, so I'm going to start with the RICE model. So the RICE model basically is an acronym for reach, impact, confidence, and effort, right? And I'm going to take each one and they will now combine everything together. So if you have any questions, just let me know. Please note them down, put it in the chat. I hope everybody
can you share your screen? You're not sharing your screen. Are we not supposed to see your screen?
Oh my God, I thought I was sharing my screen the entire time.
No.
Sorry. Someone else is raising their hand. Sorry, excuse me. Oh, shoot. Sorry, thanks for bringing that to my attention. Oh, I didn't know. No. Okay, I'm going to have to drop off because of permission request. I'll join back now. Hi guys, can anybody hear me? I'm so sorry about that. I thought I was sharing my screen the entire time. Can you guys see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm so sorry about that again. So the RICE model is an acronym for 4 things: reach, impact, confidence, and effort. And basically they all it's just very straightforward, right? Reach in this sense talks to how many people is this feature going to affect? How many people are going to see this new feature that I'm going to build, right? So typically you want to build for a lot of people, right? But you can't always build for a lot of people, right? So in this case, it says that you this determines how many users, your customer business, so that it's like your B2B, your B2C, how many people would be impacted by this decision? How many people would it reach, right? So to avoid bias, right, you need to estimate how many people will be impacted by this feature. And this is going by the premise that you are tracking something, right? So you are tracking how many users you have. So let me give an example. If I think there's someone that says they bake cake here, right? If you say you're a baker, right, and you want to add something to your menu, or you want to maybe change the recipe for a particular cake, right? How many people are going to be affected, or how many people are going to be impacted by this new recipe or this new ingredients that you want to add? So say, for example, maybe you're normally baking like a random vanilla cake, and you decide that you want to add nuts to this cake, right? How many people would this thing reach? You know that there are people that have allergies. Would you want to go by that, right? And typically, like, you're working with numbers. You're not just assuming, right? So if you say that you have like 50 customers in a month, that means that typically 50 people are going to be eating this cake with nuts, right? So now that kind of put things into perspective. And let me give another example with like an actual product. So say for class 54, the main idea of the product is to help students study better, right? And provide questions for them for WIAC and JAM and all of that, right? So now you now decide to add a new feature, right? Maybe for students to be able to collaborate while studying, right? Or for them to have like group sessions. Now, how do you measure the reach of that kind of a product? In this case, right, you will typically say that if you have like 5,000 active users, right, it means that there's a tendency that these 5,000 people will be impacted by this new feature, right? So it kind of put things into perspective. Like, it gives you like actual quantitative data into like what you're doing. So it means that, you know, you are picking from actual metrics. You're not assuming. You're not saying, let's say that we're doing this 50 people. No. You're going to your metric tool, which could be Mixpanel, it could be Google Analytics, it could be Hotjar, it could be anything really. So you're going there and seeing the amount of people that is going to be impacted. And don't forget this, because we're going to refer to it at the end of each one of the factors. So that's the first one. So reach, when you're thinking about reach, just think about the context in what you're doing, how many people will be affected. That is the first thing you need to do, meaning that you're not making a decision for yourself. You're making that decision based on the total number of users that you have. Maybe not total number of users, but the amount of people that will be impacted. Keep that in mind. So now, this is exactly what I was saying. So I say if class 54 has a total of 3,000 customers, that means that the people that use that particular feature, right, that the 3,000 customers will be affected, meaning that this feature should probably not break. This feature needs to work as expected. This feature needs to be something that the 3,000 people would like to see, that kind of a thing. So that is the first one. The second thing is impact. Impact in this sense means that what level of what's the word now? What level of conversion is this feature going to bring if I decide to work on it? And in this case, it ranges from 0 to 3. 3 is like massive impact, 2 is high impact, 1 is medium, 0.5 is low. So typically you don't want to be working on things that are low or medium. You typically want to be working on things that are high impact and massive impact and high, right? Meaning that if I decide to add this new feature on class 54 and it will be it's going to affect 3,000 people. How much impact is it going to make people pay for the app? Is it going to make people refer other people to the app? So these are like things that you have to put into context. Like, what is the impact? Is it that people are going to be paying more? Are they going to refer more people? Or will people drop off from my product? Will people churn? So those kind of things are like questions like you need to keep asking yourself, right? And to do this, if you recall in Reach, like, you have actual numbers, the total number of people that will be affected. Impact here now says, okay, on the scale of 0 to 3, with 3 being the highest and 0 being the lowest, is this the massive impact? Is this in high impact? Is this the medium, or is it low impact? And I'm saying it now, like, things that you need to focus on needs to be things that are a massive impact and they need to be in high impact. You shouldn't be working on things with low impact, because that means that you typically have little value for your business, little value for both the business and the user. And sometimes it could be that it's just low value to the low impact to the user, but high value. So in those kind of cases, now things might be different, right? But typically, I'm saying that you need to focus on things that are within 3 and 2 instead of 1 and 0. So yeah. So I'm going to move to the next one. Sorry. The third one is confidence. So confidence is typically where your product sense comes into play, and your data and your intuition that I initially mentioned, right? So in this case, now you're saying you're looking at from this list of things that I have to add, and I've already said by reach, by impact, this is what's going to happen. For confidence, how confident are you that people want this? People want this feature, or people want this particular solution. How confident are you? And sometimes now you're working with 2 things. You're working with your product sense and you're working with data. Now, you're saying that, okay, maybe from the amount of customer success tickets that you have, these are the amount of people that want this thing. So like you're confident that if you're delivering this, you're delivering it for people that actually need it, right? And now the confidence scale ranges from 50 to 100. And this was developed by Intercom, right? And 100 is like high confidence, 80 is medium confidence, and 50 is low confidence. As I earlier mentioned, things you want to be focusing on are things with high confidence and medium confidence, right? If 50 is low confidence, then you can see that there's a problem already. So that's how confidence works. So now putting things back into perspective, right? You go from R is reach, meaning that you want this particular feature to typically affect a lot of people. Those are the kind of things you work on first. For impact, it's like, okay, what is the value that this thing is bringing to my business, right? What is the business objective that it ties to? Is it going to bring revenue? Is it going to bring more users? Are people going to drop off? Those are like things that you have to think of. Then the third part is confidence. Confidence in the sense that, okay, by product sense and by data that I have, and I combine these 2 together, how sure am I that people actually want this particular feature? And I said earlier that it ranges from 50 to 100, with 100 being the highest and 50 being the lowest. Don't forget that. Somebody dropped a chat. Is my voice jerking? Can somebody answer that question so that I would know, so I can pace myself before going forward? Can everybody hear me? Chizoba, do you want to explain what you mean by my voice is jerking before I continue? Aziz, are you answering Chizoba or are you answering me?
Your voice is fine. It's not jerking.
Okay. Thank you. So I'm going to continue. There's one more comment. I can hear it. Okay, cool. Okay, sorry about that. I would slow my pace down. So the third one is effort. So effort here refers to the amount of time it's going to take for this feature to be implemented. And you have to realize that implementation here could be engineering requirements. It could be engineering requirements means that it needs to be developed. It could be design, and it could be that you need to do user research, means that you're taking the user researcher and the design team into consideration. So now you have to consider how much time is it going to take each person on the team to work on this. Now you're not thinking about it as a group effort, you're thinking about individually, because everybody has their own part to play. Okay. Yeah, so I was saying that now the work a team member has to, so like now it's not just one person. So if I'm going by the example I gave earlier with the cake, so if I know that to develop this new recipe, I have a team of 10, how long would it take one person to complete this particular recipe? I think in a way also helps you put things into perspective. If one member of your team is not available, how much impact that's going to affect is going to give on your team. Now that's the first thing. So typically it's going to be reach. Okay, this is going to be reach multiplied by impact multiplied by confidence divided by effort. And I mentioned earlier that reach in this sense is how many people are you solving for? Impact is what is the business goal? Like, is this? Okay, impact is what goal does this, like, what is the conversion? What is the business metric that this falls into, right? Confidence is on a scale of 50 to 100. Which one, where do you fall, with 50 being the lowest, right? So I'm going to use this example that I have on my screen, right? So I'm saying that how many Jambites will the release of a brochure affect in a quarter? So I'm saying that there are going to be 5,000 people that will be impacted by this, right? And I've said that the impact from 3 being the highest, 0 being the lowest, right? What is the impact? So I'm saying that the impact is 1. Now you can already see that 1 is not that high, right? And it's just a medium impact. And you can see that confidence here is 80%, meaning that the person that is probably prioritizing this is not that confident, right? So would you say, with all of these being put into perspective, what do you think? Do you think that this person should immediately work on this, or the person should work it, like if you have like 3 months, so should the person work on it in month 1, month 2, or month 3? I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, and I want people to answer based on what I said. What do you think should happen? Do you guys get the question? Akin Bode, please go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yep. So I think the decision to continue or not will probably be dependent on how many other features the person is considering, because that's where it can weigh the score, the RISE score of the different features, and then probably make a decision based on that.
Okay, thank you. I would answer after. Is there someone else that wants to try? Esther, do you want to take a stab at it? Jessica, is Jessica still here?
Let me just see this one out. I'm still trying to process it.
Okay. Favor, Dami, Ianu, who wants to try? I mean, there's no right or wrong answer. Should I repeat the question? Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again for people that did not get it. Okay, so this is what I said, right? Chizoba, I don't know if you're hearing me. So I said that for reach, right, the amount of people that or users that will be affected per time. So I said that how many Jambites will be affected by the release of a new brochure in a quarter. So I said 5,000 people, right? And the impact on a scale of 0 to 3, 1 is medium impact, right? And then the confidence level is 80, right? And then the effort is 2 months, right? So now I've now calculated all of this, which is reach, impact, reach multiplied by impact multiplied by confidence divided by effort, right? And I got 2,000. And I'm saying that if you were the product manager of this team, what do you think the product manager should do? If the person had 3 months from now to for like month 1, month 2, month 3, what do you think the product manager should do? That's the question. Should the person prioritize it for now, later, and stuff like that? I can put these hands up, 2 people. Okay. I'm going to allow Jessica to speak first, then Akinbode.
Hi. Based on what you said now, you said that if it's not a high confidence, then we should sit it out. So I don't know. I think I'm just going to say that this is not, the confidence level is not good enough to actually prioritize as well to take up. I don't know. That's what I feel.
All right. I'll answer that. Akinlade, you can go next.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, so I said since the number we are looking at is 5,000 and the number we get from this prioritization and calculation is less than the average of 5,000. I don't think it's something we should spend time on for now.
Okay. Is there anybody? Okay. Thanks, Akinlade. What was the first person that answered? I think it was Akinbode. Oh, okay, cool. Okay, so this is going to be my response, right? So I don't think that we have enough data to answer to say that the PM should work on it or the person should not work, because this is just one feature, right? If it's just one feature in your product roadmap, you can typically just work on it, right? So I think I agree with Akinbode, right? That, you know, you have to score everything in your product roadmap. So if like you had JAMB, if you had WAEC, and like you have things that are scoring higher than 2,000, then you typically want to prioritize that. And if 2,000 is like the highest ranking, then you want to prioritize, what's it called? You want to prioritize this particular feature. So I think I wanted to clarify something when Jessica was speaking, is that, so now you're not looking at this, you're not looking at each of these factors in isolation. So everything needs to be connected, right? But I was just saying that I was advising that typically you should not be going for things that are lower. You typically want to focus on things that, like, you know, would bring great impact to your business and you're really confident about, right? But, you know, you can't just take that score in isolation. It's just like in a class of 50 people, right? If you get 1/50, someone might think that you're dumb, but if you're the only person in that class and you get 1/50, then you've done great because you're the only one and there's no measure of comparison. That's how I choose to explain it. Jessica, you can speak.
Okay. From what you just said, we are, so this is not, so that means there are other scores we are looking at. Let's say, for instance, if 2,000 is the highest, that means we can go, that means we can go for it based on the other scores. Okay.
Exactly. Yes. So let me give another example. That one might be easier to put into perspective. So for example, I'm the product manager for Instagram, right? And I have like a couple of features to build. So the first feature is I want to have filters. The second one is I want Instagram store. The third one is I want to have like a chronological timeline thing that Instagram just launched.
Screen, please.
Sorry, I'm just talking from the top of my head, right? Let me take it again. So I'm giving an example, right? That if I was the product manager for Instagram, right? Or let me say that Aziz is the product manager for Instagram. And they have 3 features that they want to build. The first one is filter. The second one is Instagram store. The third one is they want a new version of the timeline, right? Now, if Instagram store rather has a score of 1,500, the chronological timeline has a score of 5,000, and then what was the third thing I mentioned? I think the filter has a score of 2,000. What do you think are we prioritizing out of these 3? Jessica?
Sorry?
So I'm saying that if I was the product manager for Instagram, right, and I had 3 features to build, I had the filter to build, I have the Instagram, a new timeline, right? And I have Instagram store to build. And Instagram store has 500 as a score. That's the right score is 500. And filter has 2,000. And then the third one has 1,000. What do you think I'll be building?
The 2,000.
Why?
Because it has a higher, it's higher in maybe the impacts that's based on the goal of that's the stakeholders. That means it's going to 2,000 means it's going to take like more than, I don't know, put like 80 to 20 rule, meaning that if I do that, if I do that feature, it means that most of the business value or customer value will be met or something. I don't know. I don't know how to put it. I don't know how to put it in words.
I get it, right? So typically you want to take the one with the highest score because you have more confidence. Now you're thinking that for reach, the amount of people that be affected, this number is high. For confidence, everything is high. Everything balances out. Do you understand? So you want to work on things with high score, medium score, then low score. Yes, Akim, but they said, please explain how effort is rated and the scale for determining what each time taking is weighted against. So for this one, for effort, I mentioned that you are saying how long is it going to take one person to work on something. So you're not working on this in isolation. You have to speak to your engineers, like how long is it going to take you to build one thing? Do you understand? So, so you're taking this like per month in months. Is it going to take you 1 month? Is it going to take you 0.5 months, which is like half a month? Stuff like that. Those are like things that you're putting into consideration. Yeah, but I'm going to share my screen again. Sorry, excuse me. But I hope everybody understands. Please, if you don't understand, please let me know before I move on. Okay, so Akimbade, I see that your hand is raised, but let me take this first. So for reach, I've said that how many people would it impact? Like you have to have, I think this is actually wrong, I should correct that. How many people in general are going to be affected? Impact is what is this going to do for my business? What impacts would this person bring to my business? And you have 3 being the highest and 0 being the lowest. So then you have high, medium, low, and stuff like that. Then you have confidence within high and low, with 100 being the highest, 50 being the lowest, and 80 being the medium. And then effort is you are taking this in months. How does this affect how long in a month it's going to take this person to build? So yes. So I need to correct something in my slide real quick. Joaquin Bode, you can ask your question.
Okay, thank you. My question is on the previous slide, the one before the last one.
Okay. Sorry, just a second. I'm trying to correct something.
So on that screen I was referencing, the planning is taking 1 week. I think design maybe 1 week or 2, and then the engineering and testing another couple of weeks. And the total time is about 4 weeks or so. And
I'm coming, sorry, sharing my screen now.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what you're referring.
Yes, thank you. Okay. So planning is taking 1 week, engineering and design is 2 weeks, and the other is 4 weeks. So this makes it like 7 weeks in all.
Yeah, which is approximately 2 months.
Okay, approximately 2 months. So is there like a scale saying 4 weeks is equal to 1? Is it measured in months, like the unit for that effort?
Is measured in months.
Okay.
So
and anything less than 1 month?
Anything less than 1 month is 0.5.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
All right, cool. Sorry, stop sharing. Someone else, Dami, you can go next.
Okay, good evening. Can you hear me?
Clearly.
Okay, so my question is about confidence. How do we measure confidence? Do you just measure it based on your intuition, like, okay, am I 80% confident in this or 50%, or is there any rule or any particular metric for measuring confidence, assigning confidence level? I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say.
I do. So I mentioned earlier that you do this with data and you do this with your product sense, right? Which is your intuition, because sometimes intuition can be very misleading, right? So there are sometimes that your mind is telling you something and your mind is clearly wrong. Do you understand? So that kind of, so if you say my mind is telling me to do this, you now go and rate it on 100, right? And your mind ends up being wrong, then there's a problem. So there needs to be a balance. So if you say that your mind is telling you something, you need to have data to back up what your mind is telling you, what your product. So in this case, let me not say your mind, what your product sense is telling you. And the thing with product sense is it develops over time. So the first time when you start, it might not be that great. Second time, because you've done it before, it becomes better. Third time, you have more, more insight into things, so you understand it better, right? So your confidence is like, okay, this is what I think we should do as a product manager. Because as a product manager, there are some times that you need to take decisions on your feet, like on the go. Do you understand? But at the end of the day, you need to be able to find data to like prove what you've done, because some people will come and argue and tell you that why did you do this? You need to be able to prove to them that this is why, not just because my God told me. So if, for example, I've said that we should build filter first, right? Because I think that filter is going to be a great addition to the product, which is great, right? Now I have to go and look for the data that says that people would actually love to use the filter. So that could be maybe from looking at competitor products or looking at customer success tickets, but like there needs to be data to back up intuition. You cannot just use your intuition alone and say that, yes, I'm going with this just on vibes. That's why I say you don't work with vibes. You get?
Okay, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Aziz.
Good evening. This is my question.
Okay.
The two examples you cited, the jam and the cake, they are both existing products or business. Can we use rich prioritization for a new product, for a new company? For example, someone to set up a company now, entirely new company, they don't have any product before. How can we measure the reach so that we get the accurate data to proceed for the whatever the outcome may be? That's my question.
I think that's actually a fantastic question, right? So there are two ways you can do about it. The first one I would say is you don't have the data, which is fine, right? The second one is that there's a market. You have done your market research and you have something called your target market. You have your total addressable market. There's a particular number that you have to benchmark it against. So if you don't have it if it's like a brand new product, that's fine, right? So let me give an example. I also mentioned earlier that maybe you want to add nuts in your cake, right? So in case like there's no market for that, it could be that, okay, how many people like nuts? How many people like cake? How many people actually love to eat cake, nuts in their cake? Like, do you understand? So you have to like have like some sort of figure to back up, because people say that numbers don't lie, right? So yeah, does that answer your question? Or the second thing you can do is that if you found that this particular prioritization metrics is lacking, you can balance it up by using another prioritization framework as well, which is something that we'll still discuss later. Aziz, does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to stop taking questions now because I said I wanted to finish in like 17 minutes and I'm already way past my time. So just a second, people. Okay, we are back. Okay, what's going on? Can one use more than one method to measure? Do you mean prioritize? You can, but sometimes some frameworks might what's the word? They might contradict each other. The one I'm really familiar with and I've used a lot is called the impact effort matrix, but I will talk about that now, I think. Yeah. So yes, I think this is my total favorite prioritization framework, and I'm going to explain it. And I've used it very well, so I can explain it to the best of my knowledge. So impact versus effort matrix attempts to do one thing. It attempts to examine the amount of impact that this feature, building something, is going to have on your business. And impact can be measured in different ways. It could be measured in solving a problem. It could be that you want to be a market leader. It could be that what feature am I going to build that is going to give me a lot of money. And effort here is how much engineering effort it's going to take. So typically, using this, you might work with your engineers and you work with your commercial or your marketing person. And let me tell you something now. I think I might have missed that out. You do not prioritize in isolation. You are prioritizing with other people in mind. That's the first thing that you need to realize. So for impact versus effort matrix, this is the quadrant here. This one, this is impact here, and this is effort. And this is low. This is low impact, and this is high effort, and this is high impact, high effort. So typically it's like a graph, right? So typically the things you would work on first are things that are low effort, high impact. And I will explain this, right? So there are 4 quadrants. There's one called the low effort, high impact. There's one, the second one is called high effort, high impact. The third one is low effort, low impact. And the third one is high effort, low impact. So I'm going to explain it one by one, right? It can get confusing. If you don't understand, please draw me back. So low effort means that you are not doing, you don't need to do a lot of things for you to deliver on this particular feature, meaning that the engineering effort required is very minimal. It could be that someone just needs to write 1 line of code, 10 lines of code. They don't need to write up to 1 million lines of code. That's like the sweetest spot for you as a product manager, when you don't need to do a lot of engineering, but you know that this feature, if you should do it, is going to bring like the best impact for your business. Like that's the sweetest spot. That's like where you want to find yourself in the first place. Like if you're to deliver a feature, you speak to your engineer, you speak to your commercial person, and the engineer says, this one is not going to take a lot of time. Maybe within a week, we can finish this. And then the commercial person says, oh, within a week, sweet. And now say, okay, this is the amount of impact it's going to bring on your business. So I'll give an example. Say that you're building, say you want to build a product called Kuda. Kuda already exists. And the main thing for people to do on Kuda is to send money and receive money, right? And sending and receiving money, let's say you want to send money to your phone number. You want to send money to people's phone numbers because everybody has a phone number, but not everybody has a bank account, right? And you ask your engineer, how far, like how long is it going to take to build this particular feature, send and receive money? And it could be 2 features, right? And the engineer says it shouldn't take up to a week. And you're like, okay, cool. And you now speak to your salesperson or your marketing person or your commercial person, whoever is responsible for that. You speak to the person and the person says, if we can do this, then we are going to be the highest in the fintech market. So that's like a perfect combination, because engineering doesn't have to do a lot. Commercial has told you that this is what your customers want, right? This is something, and then maybe you have like data to prove that as well. Typically, that's where you want to focus on. Again, remember your first focus, or typically what should constitute your MVP, could be low effort, high impact. Things that don't take a lot of time, but it has high impact. Some people also call this as the low hanging fruit. You know, it's just like going to a mango tree, and you know, like sometimes you have to take a stick and like hit the tree for the fruit to come down. But in this case, you just have to raise your hand and then you take the fruit. That's like the best thing. That's what low effort, high impact is. The second thing that you will be prioritizing are things that are going to take a lot of time, and they're also going to take a lot of effort. A lot of time, and it's also going to help your business drastically. So in this case, right, it means that the engineering effort is a lot. Like you need to battle and write a lot of code. You need to test. You need to do A/B tests. You need to do beta testing. Like you need to do a lot of things, right? But if you do this, if you build this particular feature, it's going to impact your business. So if I was to give an outsider view to Instagram, I don't work on the Instagram team, right? But if I was to say that something that probably took a lot of time for them to build, I don't know, I'm just saying now, maybe they had to work on filters, right? Filter is something that a lot of people use, right? And, you know, it's also like something that's also made them remain relevant in the market in a way, because, you know, Snapchat does it, Facebook does it, Instagram does it. and stuff like that. So now, you know that if you build this particular feature, you know it's going to take a lot of time, but it's going to help your business greatly. Typically, these are like the second things that you want to focus on, right? Because not everything is always going to be low effort, high impact, right? Because engineers are going to have to like write a lot of code and you need to test this really well. So those are like things you should focus on secondly. Then the third things that you should, so this is like a must have. This is a nice, this is a should have. This one is like a could have. And this one is like, you shouldn't have this, right? So the third one is like a low effort, low impact. So things that are, they don't take a lot of time, but they don't really give impact to your business. Those are like the third things that you should work on. So if we're going by the example of cake, right? Nuts in cake, right? It means that you adding nuts to the cake you're making is like nuts is cheap, but people will buy it, but you're not sure how people will buy it. So it's not really doing anything. It's just that it gives variety to your business, right? So that they will know that I'm doing something new, that kind of a thing. Those are like the third things you want to be working on. But things that you should not be prioritizing are things in the last quadrant, things that are they require a lot of efforts, but they don't bring impact. Like the impact is like super, super low. So it's like, why are you doing it if like you don't have like, it doesn't have this much impact on your business, right? So again, I'm going to recap before I move to the next one. The first things you should work on, right, is low effort, high impact. The second one is high effort, high impact. The third one is low effort, low impact. And the last one is high effort, low impact. Those are like things that you shouldn't be working on, right? Yeah, so I'm going to leave room for questions now. If you have any questions, please shoot and let me know. If you don't understand as well, raise up your hands. Someone just question. Does anybody understand? If you Akimbode?
It's a question I have.
Okay.
Like, what's the use when one is having a feature or a prioritization with low effort and low impact?
So those kind of things are typically like a nice to have. So if, for example, what's a great example to use? So say that Google, for example, I don't know if you realize, but they have this thing called doodles on Google search, right? If they removed it, it will not really affect anything. If they added it, it's nice, but it's not bad. So at the end of the day, that's what I think as an outsider. I don't know about what they are doing on the inside, right? So on that kind of thing, it's just like, it's a nice to have. Let me just sprinkle some salt on what I have. So it's like a sweet spot. It's not really that it makes or it mars your business typically. It's just like additional features. So I'll give another example. So you know when you download an app on the Play Store or on the App Store, right? There are going to be these occasional updates that they do. They said they squashed bugs, they added something new. And it could be that when you click this button, the button just flutters, it just looks nice. Or if you use Twitter, for example, and you watch the Apple event, when there's an Apple event, if you click on the like button, it does this animation thing. Whether that animation is there or is not there, if you like the tweet, you have already liked the tweet. But at the end of the day, it's just something that is, I don't know if it's low impact and low effort, right? But in this case, I'm just going to assume that it is, right? So it's like, okay, this is nice to have. Let me just sprinkle it in there. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Who has another question? If nobody's asking, I'm going to assume that everybody understands. Okay, so I'm going to continue. Still not particularly clear on the calculations. Alright, hi. Do you mind unmuting your mic and explaining what you mean? Because I'm not sure about these calculations here. We've moved past that, so. Where is this one from? Okay, we can continue, right? So I'm going to go to the third one, right? Then we have one more. And then if anybody still doesn't understand, we can go back to it. So the next one is the Moscow framework. And the Moscow framework was developed by Dave Clegg while he was working at Oracle, in 1994. And it breaks down this into 4 pieces: must have, should have, could have, won't have. So typically, it's going through your list of products and tagging them on a chart. So it's like, out of all these features we have, which one must we do for them to use the feature? Which one do we know that if we remove the app is useless? So I'll give an example. So if at Instagram, so basically you need to know first of all that Instagram is a photo sharing app. That is the first thing it was created for. Before they started adding videos, started adding reels, all those were nice to have. Like, do you understand? So which one is the one thing that if they remove from Instagram, or if they were to build Instagram again, needs to be there? Like, it must be there. If not, it doesn't work. That's like the question you should ask yourself. Or if you needed to send money to somebody, or you need to use a fintech application, for example, or you need to buy Bitcoin. And as a product manager, the question is, if they remove this one feature from this product, if you were to build this product again, what's this one feature that must be available for people to use? Like, it is compulsory. Those are like the things that you should be working on, right? And now in this sense, it means that if I was to work on Instagram again, it means that if we're going by the premise of how Instagram is right now, it means that the first thing I want to work on is that people should be able to upload pictures. That's the first thing. That's like the most important thing first, right? If I was to maybe create a fintech, say AOO, or create a CUDA, right? It means that the first thing people need to be able to do is to send and to receive money. It means that if I was to create PiggyVest again, right, the first thing I must be able to do is to save money. So the first thing, like, this is like the primary purpose in which an application exists or a product exists. So, and that's why I was saying for PiggyVest, the first thing is that PiggyVest is first a savings application, right? Which you can now accrue interest. And the next thing, they now decided that, just to make sure that people are now saving and doing more, they've now said, okay, they've added an investment feature to it, so that people are not growing their money, not just only saving it. Do you understand? The third thing is now that, okay, they said that, okay, people should have group savings because it's nice to have, to do that kind of thing, and it encourages the saving culture. But if they removed investment and if they removed group saving, do you think that PiggyVest will stop existing? I don't think it would, because at the end of the day, the first thing that it is created for, is that you should be able to save. Either you're doing like a monthly savings, daily savings, yearly savings. Those are the things you typically want to work on. So that's like must have. Should have is now like the second things that you should now be working on. Should have is like, okay, this is going to be great, and it complements maybe the first feature that you're building, right? So, and that's like where it came from. Like, if I'm using my PiggyVest example, is that the first thing to do is that PiggyVest was created so that they can save money. The second thing is that you can now do group savings, or you can do investments. So like, those are like things that are really great in the app, right? If we're going by Instagram, it means that, okay, you can upload pictures, you can also create a story, you can use filter. Like, those are like things that so maybe if you put like real life products to these things, it's easier to understand, right? Could have is that if I added this or not, it's still is still like, it is great, that kind of a thing, but it's like your low impact, low effort kind of a thing, because you're just like, okay, this is just a sweet to have. And they won't have is like the last quadrant on the impact effort matrix that says that it is high effort and then there's low impact. So typically, this is like, even if I like this one, there's no point adding it to the product. So those are like things that you should be working the least on, right? So this one is a bit straightforward as well. Somebody raised up their hand, so I'm going to take that question now. Sorry, just a sec. I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, pause, stop sharing. Okay, who is the person? Someone was raising up their hand. Dami, is your hand up?
Yes, so I wanted to ask a question under the impact versus effort matrix before we moved on to the Moscow framework. So you said something about we should not work on high effort, low impact, and I didn't get the other one, the second one you said. The one we should
I said
so,
you should, things you shouldn't be working on is high
yes.
effort, low impact. Things that are nice to have, but they won't make or break your product. It's just like a sprinkle of salt. It's low effort, low impact.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. But someone else was raising up their hand. No questions?
Okay, since nobody's talking, let me just add this. Can this Moscow be compared with the impact versus effort matrix? Like, does the must have somehow fall into the high effort, high impact? The could have probably low effort, low impact. Is there some kind of correlation or similarities?
And so if I was to answer, I would say yes, but then I think I will also say it depends on the features and what you're trying to build, because I also mentioned that some of these frameworks can be contradictory in the sense that, like, you plot it on one, you say you should go with this, you plot it on another, you say you should go with that. So you need to find the one that works for you the best, right? So in a way, I think that the Moscow framework and the impact versus effort framework are kind of similar, but you can't, it also depends on what you're plotting against it, right? Because some of them would say, so like your must have could be something on your high effort, high effort, high impact. But if we're going by what the impact effort matrix is, it says that those are the things you should be working on first. But if you are considering what the Moscow framework says, it says that that's the first thing you should work on. So if you were in that dilemma, what would you do? Did you get what I just said?
Not very clear.
Okay, so let me take it again. So, you know, in the impact versus efforts framework, it says that the first things that you should work on are things with low efforts and high impact, right?
Yes.
And then if you go to the Moscow framework, it says that your must have, like your must have are the first things that you should work on. So I'm asking you a question now. If your must have on the Moscow framework is something that is high effort, is high impact, right? But is different, like plotting it on the impact versus effort matrix, it says that you should work with low impact and low effort. What would you do? So they are contradictory. I don't know if you really get what
Yes, I get that now.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying that sometimes, right, it's better for you to pick one framework and stick to it, right? Or you find a framework that they complement each other the most and you stick to it. Do you understand? Because I don't know that there's a particular framework that doesn't have its pitfall. The one that I have used the most, right, and works the best for me is the impact versus effort matrix. So this thing I'm building, how long is it going to take, right? And what impact does it have for the business? Do you understand? So like that's the one I've picked and I've stuck with it. Do you get? But some people in some organizations will tell you that you should use the Moscow framework. Some people will tell you that you should use the Kano model. So like different people have different things that work for them, but you will still see that in a way that it be similar because the concept that applies here still applies there. Because now that's why you asked me that impact, effort, and Moscow, are they a bit similar? Do you get?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody that has another question before I would continue? No? Okay. Just a second. Somebody is raising up their hand. Chizoba. Chizoba, are you speaking?
No, I dropped my message on my question on the chat.
Is there a measurement scale for the Moscow method? Not that I'm aware of. Since I've been reading and doing my research, I don't think I have come across it. For these are like things that I also mentioned that you can't do prioritization in isolation. So you have to have your stakeholders, your CEO, your VP of products, or you as a PM, right? Since you're supposed to know the most about your product. So yeah, I don't know that there's a measurement scale for it. Is there any other person? Okay, cool. So I'm going to go to the next one and fast spend some time. Okay, so I'm going to keep sharing. So the next one is called the Kano model. And this one is a theory for product development and customer satisfaction. And it was created by Noriaki Kano. Somebody is, sorry, excuse me, just a second. Okay, so this was created by Noriaki Kano. I think I must have missed two. But yeah. So it classifies this into, what's it called? Into 5 features, right? Into 5 categories. The first one is the delighter. Sorry, I think I should adjust the slide before I continue sharing. Just a second, please. Sorry. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to continue sharing now. Sorry. Yes. So these are, they are broken down into these following categories. The first one is called the delighters. The delighters is like what people really want from your product, things that they're excited to get. So these are things that people are going for, and it's kind of differentiates you from your customers, right? So in a way, if you're going by the Moscow framework, this is like your must-have. Your performance feature is like, these features are what people would now say, okay, if I was going to use this product or not use this product, what's the decision? So in a way, it's like your could have, right? And for basic features, these are the ones that, again, as I said, you should not be working on, things that you want to prioritize for last. So if I was to answer Akinbode's question, right, if I was to use 2 frameworks together, I think I'll be using the Kano model and I'll be using the Moscow model, because in a way, they are very, very similar. Yeah, this is that for this. Someone just asked a question. Value proposition. I didn't get that, but okay. Do you want to speak to this, Aminat, before I move on?
I just mean what the value your product is like proposing. What
exactly
makes you different from?
Yeah, that's the word. So like, this is like the main reason this is like your, as you said, your value prop, right? The thing that actually makes your own product that product. Do you get? And then your performance features is like, okay, so if I was to use, say, CUDA and I was to use UBA, for example, why would I choose CUDA over UBA? Okay, CUDA has 25 free transfers, but for UBA, they will always bill me every day of the month. So, okay, which one should I pick? Let me pick CUDA, that kind of a thing. Or if I was to pick UBA over CUDA, I'll say, okay, why should I pick UB? Okay, UB has a working branch. I can always go and fight UB, take my money. Coulda, maybe not. Okay, I'll use UB. These are not like, I'm not saying that this is the actual case. I'm just saying that these are like things that kind of set you aside from competition. And your basic features are things that, you know, customers expected to have them. But yeah, that's what I think. So the last one is, did I explain that? Yeah. Sorry, I think I just mixed up the last one. Your basic features are things that you should have. It's just like having a bank, creating a bank without bank accounts. These are things that you should have. So I think it's basic features, performance features, and delighted. But yeah. The last one, okay, I think that's all. Sorry. Wow. I think that was really fast, right? Is there anybody that has any questions before we call it?
Please, I do not really understand the difference between the delighters and performance features.
Yes, I think I should explain that again because I didn't explain that properly. First of all, I was saying that the first thing you should have are your basic features. These are like things that I think I kind of rearranged it the other way around. Your basic features are things like I mentioned that it's like creating a bank account. So these are like the things that you should have. Performance feature is like why would I pick UBA over Kuda? If you remember that example, so in a way, like it differentiates you from this other person. So delighters are nice to have, but people will use your product even if you do not have it. Sorry, I think I interchanged everything earlier. So your delighter is okay. Kuda app is purple, UBA is green. Even if Kuda and UBA had the same color, I'll still use them. That's like not the best example, but like that's the only thing that comes to my head. So your delighter is if we're to go by the Moscow model, it's like that sprinkle salt on the head, or if I go by the impact effort matrix, it's like your low impact, low effort, but it's just like a nice to have. It doesn't really do anything to your users. But the first thing that you should be looking at are your basic features, then your performance features, then the delighter. So meaning that if you're going to be prioritizing, you want to be prioritizing with these three at the back of your mind. Do you get? Jamie?
So sorry, basic features must have, performance features should have, delighters could have.
Exactly. I'm not, I hope that also helps because I think you were helping me explain earlier.
I was on that talk now.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, so just a second. Okay, so we'll have Kahoot now. Hi, Tolu. Do you want to share a screen or do you want to drop the link and the code?
Hi, Tomisin. Hi, everybody. I will drop the link. I don't know, but let me just share with you first, right? So you can go through it.
Okay. So like quick intro. The first, okay, so Tolu is the co-facilitator for this track, right? So he's helping me out. So he's the one that created the Kahoot questions. So his full name is Tolu Additional. You can check him up on LinkedIn and connect with him. And I think he's also in the WhatsApp group. So if you have any questions during the week, sorry Tolu, I just threw you under the bus. You can ask him. But yeah, Tolu, can you send me the link, please?
Yeah, I'm sending it to you now. I'll send it to you. Have you seen it? It's in your email.
Okay, sorry. Which one of them? Can you check the email address? So I've not
Tomisin Agbaje at gmail.com.
Okay. Sorry.
Have you seen it?
Not yet. Sorry, guys. Please. It hasn't come in yet, too. Can you send me an iMessage? Because I don't know why I can't see it here.
All right, let me try that.
Sorry, guys.
All right, Tomisin, what email do you use for your account?
Tomisin.o.agbaje@gmail.com.
All right, let me share with that. So you will see it under your shared with me.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, just to confirm, that's tomisin.o.agbaje@gmail.com.
Yes, that's correct.
All right, I shared it with you.
Okay, sorry guys, just give me a second, please. Got it.
You've seen it?
Yes. Okay, dropping the link now. That's messed up. What's going on? Sorry guys, just 2 minutes. Okay. Where am I supposed to find this? Okay. Sorry guys, just 1 more minute. Done. Okay. Yeah, I've dropped the link on the chat, so please join. Actually, what's the game pin?
What did you say?
The game pin. Okay, never mind.
All right. Are you going to share your screen as you play?
Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm sharing already. you guys still hear me? Can you see my screen?
You say you couldn't find Kahoot. Is this everybody to join? The link that you shared said we couldn't find this Kahoot.
Let me send it again.
Yes.
You can also scan the barcode from what was showing now.
Oh, this is tricky. Choose about your raising your hand. You can speak. Can you guys try this new link that I just dropped? The pin is 4294073. Is anyone else joining or having issues before we start? Okay. Just 1 minute and we'll start. Okay, starting now. So you know how it goes. The question is on the answer on my screen. You pick the correct answer on your side. Okay, next. Okay. Nice. Thank you. Next. This is not a winning or losing game. It's just to know that everybody understood what I said. So nobody should miss this one. Two people missed it. Oh my God. Wow. I forgive you. We got this. Nice. Okay. Chidova and Jessica. Wow, nice. Okay. Cool. So, wow. What are we now? Oh, we have one more question. Wow, guys, really? Must have, should have, could have, won't have.
No,
Okay.
I guess that one is.
Who is Ants?
What'd you say?
I was trying to get to. Nice. Okay, guys. Am I still sharing my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for that, Tolu. Is there anyone that has any other questions before we call it a day? Oh, alright, thanks. Cool. Dami, yes, sure, please.
Okay, so my question is about the assessment we were given last week.
Yep.
So I'm trying to sorry, please 1 minute. I'm trying to go to the question so I can read it out. So it says, okay, it said list out all the possible sub features under the brochure project. So I'm still a bit confused as to what the brochure project is actually.
Okay, I think I'm going to have to look into that, get back to you. I think Imole was the one that shared that. So share documentation with what the brochure means, the brochure project means, and then share that. And if you still don't understand, you can send me a text on LinkedIn.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. Any more questions before we call it a day? It's 6 p.m. on the dot. It was nice having you guys. I will get the recording and the presentation to you. So if you have any issues during the week, you can send me an email or you can shoot me a message on LinkedIn. I would reply. It might take a while, but I'll reply. All right, guys, have a lovely weekend and great week ahead. Bye.
Thank you, Tomisin. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.